However, there are, I think, certain milestones on the way in this new landscape, and there are things that define it. Now, I've thought of 3 of them. This isn't another new magic spell that, well, Pastor says there are 3, and if I don't get all 3, then I'm out my ear. Otherwise, I would have been out of my, you can laugh at it. Or I would have been out of my ear several times during this process. And we proceed, and we regress, and we go forward, and we think we have all the answers, and then the next day we're convinced that we have none of the answers. And human progress is an extraordinary business. When I was younger, not so many years ago, I used to go, how can we laugh at that, not the other thing? That's just I used to go hill climbing in the Lake District in northwestern England, in Cumbria. Where Malcolm Smart was from, actually, wasn't it? Yeah. And they have loads of screes on the edge of the mountains there. Now, a scree is just a mass of loosely compacted shale. And it's the most horrible business, scree climbing. And when you see professional fell runners, they have legs like, well, like elephants. Because you take one step up, and you go approximately 9/10 of a step back. And then you take another step up, and you go 9/10 of a step back. And I am very much of the opinion that my faith life has been pretty much like this. I take one step forward, and 9/10 of a step back. But after years and years and years of this toil and struggle, I realized that I got a beautiful view of the valley. And I was making progress. That this new landscape can be proceeded through. We're not completely lost. We're not going round in circles. Our one destination is eventually in sight. We catch glimpses of it through valleys and through passes, in between trees. And just that glimpse of that destination is enough to sustain us through all the years of our life, no matter what happens to us. Now, I said that there were 3 elements to this. This isn't a formula. This is my perception. The first of those, and the most important, is trust. Now, in the spiritual life, I'm not going to use the word spiritual life because that gives the indication that somehow things that are spiritual are totally separate to everything else. And I'm trying to get away from that. Spiritual, physical, emotional, intellectual, it's all one, it's all together. It all is presented before God. We are healed as whole people, not just bits of people, not just the bits that we find palatable. God finds it all palatable, otherwise he wouldn't be there. Therefore it all has to be transformed in the light of God. Not just the bits that we like. Praise God, God likes more than I like. Otherwise a whole raft of things would be consigned to the outer darkness and the world would be poorer for them. Tripe, for example, and chitlins. They would burn everlastingly in my universe. Actually, I think with my aunt they did burn everlastingly. Trust, sometimes called in the language of this new life. Let me say that, in the language of this new life. Trust is sometimes described as humility or surrender to God, but I think trust is a better word. Rowan Williams, in his book, The Wound of Knowledge. Now, whatever you think of the Anglican Communion, Rowan Williams has got to be about the greatest theologian alive today, and I would recommend any of you to try and get hold of some of his books. In The Wound of Knowledge, he says, self-dependence in the face of an all-knowing creator God is revealed as a delusion, a route to self-destruction. It is the ultimate work of deception that we can ever be self-reliant in such a universe. It's a lunatic concept. If we grasp the idea of a creator, if we grasp the idea of an all-powerful God, then self-reliance is out the window. Absolutely everything that exists outside of us, and indeed our very existence, is because of that Creator God. Therefore, whether we like it or not, we trust God every moment and every second of the day. So we may as well internalize that and heal ourselves and make ourselves whole by bringing in the understanding of that trust into every corner of our lives. Trust God, and all of a sudden things lose their power over you. Trust God and fear loses its power over you. Illness loses its power over you. Anything loses its power over you. if you ultimately have the creator of the universe as the wellspring of your being and your hopes, nothing else is particularly important next to that. Certainly, the phone bill is not going to be able to give you a sleepless night with that blessed assurance deep within your heart. Second on my little list, light. Now I call it light because Jesus described himself as the light of the world, but I put a subtitle, transcendence, transformation, transfiguration. The understanding that this wicked lie which we grow up with, this idea that there is such a thing as the mundane, has to be got rid of. This concept that something, well, we know what this is. It's a bench, it's a pew. It's made of wood, therefore it's just a bench, it's a pew. That it can never be something more than that. That beneath that surface is not something truly extraordinary. Science teaches us, and the laws of quantum physics, that you only have to study that bench in certain detail, and there are facts about that bench that will boggle your mind, that will astonish and amaze you, that most of that bench is empty space. That particles are popping in and out of existence continually where that bench is. That bench is never just a bench. Beneath the surface of this world that we dare to call mundane is a transfiguration of God's glory, of God's creation. It is something as surprising, as extraordinary, as if the angel Gabriel stood outside those doors. It is no different. The substance of the angel Gabriel is no more astonishing and wonderful and marvelous than the substance of that bench, or the substance of Kathy, or the substance of Jen. There is no mundane. The only things in this world which are truly mundane are some of the structures that we put into place. Our 401ks may well be mundane. They're certainly a great deal more mundane than they were a few months ago. But nothing in the created order, nothing that has been reshapen by man even, no sculpture, no tree, no bird, no piece of carpet, no speck of dust can ever be mundane. Its substance is just as surprising and wonderful as the fleshly substance of Jesus Christ when he was walking about on the earth. Now, I sometimes go back again and again to certain mystics and visionaries who have incredibly inspired me. And one of the ones that has helped me to understand that what we see, what we dare to call the mundane, the ordinary, is anything but ordinary, is Thomas Crawshaw. Excuse me. I'll guard it a minute. There you go.
At least he didn't spit.
There you go. I'd like to read a little bit about Thomas Crawshaw if I could. In the middle of the 17th century, there walked the muddy lanes of Herefordshire and the cobbled streets of London a man who had found the secret of happiness. He lived through a period of bitterest, most brutal warfare, and a period of corrupt and disillusioned peace. He saw the war and the peace at close quarters. He suffered as only the sensitive can. He did not win his felicity, his happiness, easily. Like the merchantman seeking goodly pearls, or the seeker for treasure hidden in a field, he paid the full price. But he achieved his pearl, his treasure. He became one of the most radiantly, most infectiously happy mortals this earth has ever known. His writings are inspiration to this very day. He wrote about his life and his childhood and his perception of God. Your enjoyment of the world is never right till every morning you awake in heaven. See yourself in your Creator's palace and look upon the earth and air as celestial joys, having such reverent esteem of all as if you were among the angels. The bride of a monarch in her husband's chamber hath no such causes of delight as you. Thomas Crawshaw had